Here we are with, hello. Nice to see you all again. I think this is the second time we gathered today. It is 2:10 p.m. And we are here with Tim Devlin to talk about H 954. We're going to go through the charter and then I am offering an amendment to it that I think Damien will take us through, and that's why he's, is that true? Okay, whatever, however it works. So anyway, over to you, Tim.
Thank you very much. Main committee members. For the record, my name is Tim Devlin, Legislative Counsel. And if it's all right with the committee members, I think I'll just work off of the amendment because there's only one section of substance that the charter change addresses, and the amendment will be examining that. So here we have charter change proposal to Town of Stowe, adding in a provision specific for local option taxes. Now, there are general provisions in Title 24 where we have most of our municipal law, that's general municipal law housed. And this is kind of building off of statute as exists elsewhere. So just to orient ourselves, we're in the 24 appendices, in particular chapter 153 for the Town of Stowe. We're adding a new section 904 to be titled local option tax. A, the select board is authorized to impose a 2% local option tax on sales, room, meals, and alcohol beverages. A tax imposed pursuant to the section shall be collected and administered by the Department of Taxes pursuant to 24 VSA 138. Let's pause and note here. I'm sure you already know this is a very recent history. It was just in the bill last year, where uniform local option tax is 1%, not 2%. So this would be a deviation in that sense. Subsection B here reads, notwithstanding any contrary provision to Title 24 VSA 138, reference here, this is what apportions the local options tax to that 25, goes to say 75% being retained, but essentially retained, goes back to what it applied municipality. And then 32 VSA 3709. And that's just a reference to the pilot special fund that local option tax revenues are paid into. So notwithstanding any contrary provisions to those two statutes, if any tax, if any local option tax collected in excess of 1%, remember the cap being 2%, 50% shall be paid to the local option municipal transportation special fund established pursuant to 19 VSA 306B, and the other 50% shall be paid to the town. So the first percent will be apportioned regularly, that is 25 the state, 75 local, and then beyond that, so between that 1% and 2% possibility, that will be apportioned 50% to the local option municipal transportation fund, special fund, and 50% back. And then we have subsection 3 reading, the local option tax outlined by the section supersedes any local option tax previously adopted and approved by the town. And just so for please reference, section B is what is new here. Should have started with our apologies. So Stowe brought forward A and C, and this will serve B.
So you go back to the part with the section 1, the General Assembly approves the amendment to the charter. That's the select board is authorized to impose a 2% local option tax. Is that confusing? Because we're authorizing 1% more.
Right, so all other municipalities have the option of going to 1%. This would be particular to just the town of Stowe, where they could raise it to 2% if they want. So whether it's,
Right.
I don't know if I can apply to whether
So could this be misconstrued as I think there's 2% on top of the one?
Oh, I see. Say it's a local option tax. It doesn't say an additional 2%. I think it'd be read to say B, local option tax is put into place, could at maximum go up to 2%.
No, you. Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, previous following, Representative. Your question, if they enact passes 2%.
Hmm.
I presume that they could roll it back if they get a petition and decide to act on it and decide they don't want.
Yes, it's to the.
Want to make that, thank you, clear.
Representative Blake?
So, yeah, I'm confused as to, is this new B the amendment?
Yes, it is, sorry.
Okay, so I guess I'll have to go back to Representative Canfield's question. I mean, I can see, the select board is authorized to impose a 2% local option tax. Then B clarifies that the local option tax authorized business supersedes any local option tax previously adopted. Why don't we still need that to make sure that what Representative Canfield's concern was isn't addressed?
Sure. The original B, which now reads C in the amendment, the local option tax authorized by the section supersedes the local option tax previously adopted because.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tim, I didn't see this C. You just. I
You're
didn't
good.
see it.
Okay.
Yeah, one final question though is, this section B now, was the town aware of that particular option for the money?
I am honestly not positive. I know that this is something that Senator Westman has been talking about for a while, and he's the senator that represents Stowe, but I'm not sure. I think, does he even represent Stowe anymore? He used to represent Stowe.
No.
No, he doesn't, right? Washington County Senators represent Stowe. Yeah.
Oh.
He represented Stowe for a long time and lives right next to Stowe. Representative Brannigan.
Could you clarify for me again that first penny goes where and the second penny goes where? I think I've got the first one right, the 25% of what's collected under that first penny to the state and 75% to the town.
Yes.
So now we're on to penny number 2 and 50% of that one goes to the town.
Mhm.
And where's that other 50% going? Transportation,
The local option municipal transportation special fund.
all of it goes there?
Of the second penny, town.
Half of that second penny, sure. Is that a state fund or a local town fund?
It's a state fund. And let me pull it up.
So it's being
Who are
created.
you?
I'm sorry, for the record, David Leonard from the Office of Legislative Counsel. So this is the reason why I'm here. This is language that was in the Senate's T-bill proposal. That was then moved to the Senate's big bill proposal. So that 19 GSA 306B is being potentially created in the big bill. So that it's a new fund, new state special fund. The proceeds from that fund are divvied up across all towns for general state aid for town highways as an additional amount on top of the standard formula that goes out to towns now. So it takes a little bit of the, again, assuming it passes in the conference committee report on the budget, it would take a little bit of the excess revenues on local option taxes after you've made all your pilot payments and other payments out of there. And then also take money from this, and then it splits it up across the various towns to provide a small bump to the general state aid they get, which is the most flexible form of town highway aid we give. Basically allows towns to take that money and use it for any purpose instead of just culverts or just bridges or things like that.
Do you know if this money's already been allocated, appropriated, or is it still?
So we'll hear from Ted about how the money is divided up, but what in offering the amendment, the idea is that the transportation fund is struggling. We know that. The more money we can free up through other means for town highway aid, the more can be going to state highways in the actual T-bill.
I understand that.
yeah.
I just want to know if the money has already been allocated out there somewhere and somebody's counting on it, or if
It has not yet because this has a long way to go.
Yeah, there's no money in the fund right now. Yeah, so the fund doesn't exist yet, so it's being set up for the future. And then as revenues come in, that money could then be allocated in future years for these purposes.
Thank you.
And why are we setting up this special fund rather than just putting it in? I just thought that the money that goes into this fund would only be sent back to towns that have local options taxes?
Yeah, so the general state aid for town highways, and I actually realized I need to clarify, it's general state aid for town highways.
Mhm.
State aid for town structures and for class 2 roads, so there's 3 different streams it can go out on. That money all typically comes out of the transportation fund. If you put it in the transportation fund, it can go anywhere. This is setting up a dedicated special fund that has to go back to towns.
That have local options.
No,
No.
any town. So it's not just for local option tax towns, gets split up among all towns, so. Towns with local option taxes get a portion of the revenue from the local option tax. The rest goes back to the state. The Senate construct, and again, I'm not advocating for this.
Yeah.
But the Senate construct basically says we want to take a portion of that money that comes in after we've made pilot payments and so forth. And put that towards all municipalities and Senate transportation. Because their focus is transportation, their focus is on helping with municipal roads, which has been a long-standing issue. Those typically, the state aid has been a small line item that hasn't grown very fast. As many of you are probably familiar with, your municipalities are falling behind, and so this is intended to help close that gap. And, you know, it's gonna take a lot to close those big gaps. But this is intended to provide dedicated funding that can go to all towns, not just towns that can support local option tax.
Any other questions?
Only one, the current charter for Stowe, does it say basically up to 1%? The same construct is true, that the select board can impose a 1% local option tax?
See, I don't think there actually is a local option provision in Stowe's charter. There's one general law in the Title 24 though.
Okay, so it's not specific to their charter at this point.
Correct. Let's see.
So they're just taking it.
I feel like
There's no local
Stowe got a local option long before we let anyone get a local option,
I
right?
believe, but
It's been a while.
only from Act 60.
Oh, they were pre,
Yeah, they were.
they
one of
were,
the-
they were first in the door of folks. Okay.
There is. Is there a reason we don't have this version online?
If you refresh it. also.
That's why, you're not fresh enough.
You,
Please don't encourage that.
Careful.
Sorry.
Just wondering, do any other towns have this in their charter? I know Burlington and Rutland do, but no other towns have where the select board can do it? Is that true or not?
Under general law, let's see here, under Title 24, VSA, Section 138, the legislative body, and let me just actually, it's over, so all along.
I support this, I'm just trying to figure out the mechanics of it.
So, here we go. Good, okay. So if a municipality's legislative body by majority vote recommends, the voters in the municipality may, at an annual or special meeting work for that purpose, by majority vote, those present voting, assess any or all of the following: 1% sales tax, meals and alcoholic beverages, 1% rooms tax.
Representative Higley.
so if we approve this, does it have to go back to GovOps?
I mean, not go back, but they have to straw poll their amendment.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay, thank you. Ted? Tell us about local option taxes. You know, this one of your favorite topics.
That's probably what I've spent the most time talking about.
Thank you.
Okay. Cabernet Point Fiscal Office. So there are two levels of detail I can go into. One is considering how kind of the full picture of the local option municipal transportation special fund would receive revenue, including both the structure with the pilot special fund that's in the Senate's proposal for the budget, and also the amendment currently for 954. Madam Chair, would you like me to go kind of line by line through this document that shows both, or would you like to just consider the committee's amendment?
I think just the committee's amendment.
Okay. Yes, then in that case, we can cut straight to the chase.
Can you cut to the chase with larger font?
I can, absolutely. Huh? So looking at the, in FY 27, an additional 1% for Stowe for a full year of revenue. This is kind of taking what we have currently for 2025 and forecasting forward, would raise, in total, the additional 1% would raise $4.8 million. In FY 27, the additional 1%, if it were to go through, would not be implemented. It would not go live until October 1 of this year. And so that means there would only be, you would receive 75% of that full year of revenue. So about $3.6 million, and half of that would go to the local option municipal transportation special fund, the LOMT. I guess I'm going to try and shop that.
Maybe not.
Okay, I'm going to say all 4 words. So that would raise, that would allocate $1.5 million that special fund in FY 27, and then with a full year of revenue, it would be about $2.4 million, 8% of Stowe's, 1%.
Thanks. Yep. Any questions? Yes.
So right now Stowe has just the 1% local option.
They have just the 1%. Yep.
So if this were to be implemented, it's the select board that would do it. Would the voters get a chance to vote on that?
So the voters have already voted. And so because this is outside of the, there's the 1% authority. And so any town that does the base 1%, I forget the exact number, but it was last year or 2 years ago, where you allowed any town to get a local option tax without having to go through a charter change. But because this is an additional 1% above that base 1% authority, what the voters voted on in March needs to be done through a charter change that has to go to you all. Be approved.
Okay. So what we've done is that even though the local people vote yes, they still can't do it until the state says yes.
For this additional 1%. Yep.
Any more questions for Ted? Okay. Thank you, Ted. Can someone move the amendment? Patty?
Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we find H 954 favorable as amended by the Committee on Light and Meat.
Thank you. Representative Wozniak moves that we find the amendment to 954 favorable. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say this is a tax increase. But I always struggle with these local option things because the voters vote to do it
Yeah,
themselves.
they consented. Yeah.
They did, and who are we to come in the way of what they have voted? So that's why I struggle with it. I don't think you understand. It's always, these are always difficult.
Just 19% of the voters, which doesn't matter. That's how many voted.
Very GovOps of you. And yes. Yes. No, Representative, do you want to say anything?
Well, just what is one to do that, you know, like, you can't just ignore elections, 100% of people don't come out. And so I just think people, and usually it's something like that's on a ballot. If you're really opposed, you show up. And if you're like, you know, we need the money and I don't want to even have to say, maybe you don't show up. But then you say, I guess I'll take it in. It's a very tourist heavy town, so they probably figure what, we'll do well with this. We don't know what they're thinking, but if they don't come to the polls, we don't know, so we can only count on the people who do come, right? That's what I want to say.
Yeah, thank you. My concern is just that we haven't really heard from folks in Stowe about all these plans of what to do with their money, nor have we had our pilot special fund day that we had promised when we were reallocating pilot special fund monies earlier in the session. And so I'm just a little surprised that we're moving ahead with an amendment that might surprise the folks in Stowe that put the charter change forward.
And this will go back to GovOps to do a straw poll, and maybe they'll be able to hear from Stowe when it goes back to them. I was hoping that we were gonna get this much earlier in the session, so we would have more time to do this. That's how things go.
We have the ultimate power, Madam Chair.
Indeed, yes, we do.
Well, the
Yes. No, and as someone who has moved a few difficult charter changes through here on behalf of my town, I understand what an interesting balancing act it can be representing a town that has a charter change, so. Yes,
I very much appreciate the push to try and get more money to towns. As a town or as a city that has a lot of state roads, I very much appreciate that. And I will vote to support this, but I'm nervous that we are adding yet another iron in the fire that is local options taxes and the pilot special fund and all of that.
Hear you, but
We are with the creation of this new special fund. It's just one more thing to balance as we talk about the inequities in the pilot fund as it exists now and the use of all of that monies. And I think it's a worthwhile conversation, but as things go in May, in the State House.
thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, so clerk could please call the roll.
Representative Brannigan. Yes. I'm gonna vote no, as Representative Burkhart on the amendment. Representative Higley,
Yes.
Representative Holcomb. Yes. Representative Kimball,
Yes.
Representative Maslin,
Yes.
Representative Odie,
Yes.
Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Wazazak,
Yes.
Representative Canfield,
Yes.
Representative Kornheiser.
Yes,
We voted the amendment favorable 10-1-0.
thank you. And yes,
Been on transportation with Richie Westman a long time ago, recognize how difficult it is to get revenue for local transportation. I think this is fine. Good idea. But I agree with those who are concerned about metal or here and there, and also somewhat sarcastically would say, see this initially, it's a whole lot of money. For, town by town. And if I were being cynical today, I would say it's good we didn't do away with the penny completely because we may need them.
Representative Maslin, is that, would you perhaps like to wrap up those comments by making a motion to find 954 favorable?
As Madam Chair, I would move that we find 964.
50. 954.
I'm looking at the wrong one. I've done that. Favorable, thank you.
Thank you. Representative Maslin finds that moves that we find H 954 favorable as amended. Any discussion? I think we've discussed.
All right.
If you could please call the roll. Thank you.
Representative Brannigan. Yes. I'll vote yes. And Representative Burkhart, Representative Higley,
Yes.
Representative Holcomb,
Yes.
Representative Kimball,
Yes.
Representative Maslin.
Yeah.
Representative Odie,
Yes.
Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Wazazak,
Yes.
Representative Canfield.
Yes.
Representative Kornheiser.
Yes.
We voted the bill favorable as amended 11-0-0.
Thank you, everyone. Representative Wazazak, can you report this?
There's special.
We love those municipal issues.
I do indeed.
We are going to look for an attorney. Oh, we're gonna take a 5-minute break.